So, there were a couple of mass shootings in America recently, and as usual, there was quite a storm after it. But one person in particular said something not too many people were expecting. Neil deGrasse Tyson is. Okay, come on. Who doesn't know who Neil is? He's one of the most famous scientists in the world, and in like everyone's top 3 science communicators list. Sure, you all have a list. But he put out a post talking about how we only lost 34 lives to mass shootings in the last 48 hours, and that we need to divert our attention elsewhere, considering some much larger issues are going on. As you'd expect, he got slammed on Twitter and by media for his sensationalist claims. But let's dig deeper into this. Does he have a point? I mean, I think we all know the stats and figures behind America's rates of mass shooting and its correlation to guns. But there's one angle that no one has looked at this from. And that's questioning the numbers that Neil has put up. Because if you dig deeper, you'll actually see in this episode of Medical Facts that gun deaths are actually a lot higher on this list than expected. First off, I'm not sure where he's got all his numbers from, but I think Neil's a little bit off on his math here. Holy crap. I actually get to correct Neil deGrasse Tyson's math. So in 2016, 14,415 people died to guns in homicide. So that means that number shouldn't be 40, but rather 80, because he said in the last 48 hours, right? But a staggering amount of deaths that aren't considered or talked about are suicides caused by guns. America has some of the highest rates of suicide in the developed world outside of some Eastern European nations. And suicides actually cause 22,900 deaths from guns alone. Over half of all suicides in the US are caused by guns. So gun deaths should actually get another 126 in addition to the 80 caused by gun homicides in this list, added to its tally of death per 48 hours. Subtract the deaths due to suicide that weren't guns, and gun violence is actually a lot higher than you'd think on this list. Me? I'm an ex-cancer patient. People call me strong, brave, courageous, inspirational, even though I don't think what I did is any of that. The way that I got through cancer was I actually took a step back and picked the option that led to me being happiest and healthiest going forwards. The one that made logical sense. That's something I think that anyone can do. But yeah, despite saying that, I am a dude who developed this mindset that got me at the age of 17 in just 2 days to find something to smile about, despite being given a 10 to 20% chance of surviving. I've ridden 200 Ks for cancer charities. A few months after chemo, I got into med school the year after being diagnosed. I play high-stakes poker and have used my profits to create Australia's Student Startup of the Year that I think will save countless lives. But most importantly, I'm a dude that found something to smile about just 10 minutes after being told that palliative care might be my best option when I relapsed. I did that automatically. My brain was automatically picking me up. Yet, even I couldn't outthink depression when it struck. I very nearly had walked into a train one day after being suicidal for a year due to largely chronic pain. Luckily, I decided to walk across the road and see my doctor instead of doing something I couldn't imagine myself doing now. I still do get pain, and I still twitch and cramp today. You may be seeing that every now and then here, and I'm probably worse than I was back then symptomatically, but I can control and even ignore pain with some neuroplasticity and self-CBT that I've done. But if I had access to a gun at any point in that year, I probably wouldn't be here. When I was depressed, all I saw was pain, misery, failure, and probable death in my horizons. Suicide due to guns is one of the most insidious repercussions of having so much widespread free access to guns out there, one that gets overlooked way too much. Yeah, these other things that Neil talks about are big issues as well, but you can't just make swathing change to minimize things like medical error and expect to have a mass reduction in these issues overnight. It requires a lot of investment, and medical error has a whole lot of nuances and systemic issues which lead to people slipping through the cracks, something that's not easy to fix. Now, a simple thing like a vaccine could help reduce rates of death due to the flu, but it's hard to get more people vaccinated for influenza, unfortunately, even though the flu vax is safe and effective. There is a lot of advocacy being done in that space, as we know, and we probably should be talking about it more because the flu is one of the biggest unnecessary killers that we have out there. But gun control, in theory, could be solvable. If we got enough political will behind it, something that requires debate and outrage, maybe this could happen. Even the majority of gun owners want to see more gun control than there is now. The medical community is up in arms about gun violence. Well, not up in arms. You know what I mean. But though there's amazing examples like Australia where guns were taken away from everyone, leading to a total of 0 mass shootings occurring since, and though we have many correlations between gun violence and the number of guns, there's always a question asked by people on the for-gun side, asking, where's the proof? Where's the solid causative evidence that gun control can reduce gun deaths? That never gets answered. There never seems to be research done into this. And this show is called Medical Facts, where we discuss evidence and proof. So why is this the case? Why isn't there research done into this? Well, it's because of something called the Dickey Amendment. Now, this was an amendment passed by NBA lobbyist J. Dickey in 1996, where the CDC, which used to invest $2.6 million a year into firearms research, was hamstrung in its ability to fund research which may advocate or promote gun control. To this day, they can't invest into research on this, and they're the major funders of public blue sky research. But the NRA and the gun industry, it isn't even that big. It only has $11 billion in revenue every year. That may seem like a lot, but the mattress industry, where we're going first with my startup's device, which converts any bed into a hospital bed, that generated $14 billion in sales. It's the NRA's ability to organize and apply pressure to bills like the Dickey Amendment, which causes them to remain in power. The only way you're going to stop this, America, is for young people sick of dying to do what older people do best. Call up politicians and turn up at votes. And perhaps also for someone who hates guns a lot to match the amount that the NRA lobbies to politicians, which isn't too much in the big scale of things too. Yeah, I know, I'm going to be called a social justice warrior for saying this, but it's true nonetheless. Me, I've handled and picked up guns. I've chatted to people who absolutely love them and see and appreciate the culture behind them that so many people are proud of. As a fisherman in Australia, where our recreational fishing policies are some of the best in the world, I know how recreational fishing, just like hunting, leads to more people advocating for conservation and the preservation of the environment. We need to have deer and fish to catch in the future so our kids can do that, right? Most people who want gun control don't want to take away your guns. All they want is to make it harder for mentally ill people and terrorists to buy guns via things like background checks. Common sense things that you want too. Why shouldn't the CDC and independent bodies be allowed to research why and how guns kill and ways of limiting the negative effects of guns? I mean, if you're so sure that people kill people and not guns, research into this space should only back and firm up your gun rights, right? But yeah, this is an issue that won't be fixed easily or soon. I mean, what can I do about it? Unless this gets shared billions of times. So this really was me taking my chance to take down one of the gods of science, to be honest. Nah, but the thing about data is that you can always cherry pick and p-hack to have things match your agenda. It's important that we think deeply about the context behind numbers as well. Don't you agree, Neil? Anyway, my name's Nick Hill. This is an episode of Medical Facts. Something I'm campaigning on hard here is to get people who overtly promote alternative medicines as a cure to everything to stop. It's something we know that kills a lot of people per year. Cancer patients who take alternative medicine have a 2 to 5.7 times higher rate of death due to them not taking proven therapy options and other reasons as well. I've lost a few friends to this issue and could have been led astray by someone who was trying to sell me these super vitamins in a multi-level marketing scheme myself if I didn't have a year of med school knowledge under my belt. Now, I'm not against alternative medicines here. I'm a patient with an undiagnosable, yet alone curable ailment. I'm on a bunch of alternative medicines myself, some of which has changed my life. Alternative practitioners actually have time to talk to you and find out those tiny little details and address them, and they definitely can complement therapies and doctors. But when you say things like baking soda cures cancer, it does lead to death. That's why I'm trying to make alternatives great again. And if someone who's promoting a cure or making medical claims without disclaimers that it lacks evidence or proof behind it, I want to lock them up, as consumer law says they should be. I actually got onto national news to talk about this as a cancer researcher myself. I know how important it is. There's a little change.org I put together and will start to promote now, I guess. Feel free to sign it if you agree. But yeah, if you're keen, also check out what my startup is doing in this space too. So in addition to our devices, our app will not only provide evidence-based wellness advice and inputs starting with sleep, where our devices are targeted, but also use machine learning to power and perhaps automate medical research into wellness, something that's super expensive and hard to study right now. We're already working with some research agencies to make this happen. If you want to jump in on a beta trial, feel free to check out our website. But yeah, being healthy can't hurt. We should all be doing it more. Hopefully our app can help us fix that and give you the best possible advice to give yourself the highest chance of leading a happy, healthy, successful life as possible.